The transport ship was dark and quiet. Park Doyen sat alone in the small cabin, looking at the screen in front of him. The blue light from the screen made shadows on his face. He was 32 years old, but he looked older. War did that to people. He read the mission file again. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of death. Target: Vellani, female, designation Una, daughter of High Speaker Velen. Location: Helix 7 Station. Mission: eliminate target before she completes diplomatic training. Priority: maximum. Duhyun closed his eyes for a moment. He had done this many times before. He was a ghost operative, one of the best killers the Terran Coalition had ever trained. His hands had taken 47 lives in the past 8 years. 47 enemies of humanity. 47 names he tried not to remember. But something about this mission felt different. Maybe it was because the target was young. Maybe it was because she was a diplomat, not a soldier. Or maybe it was because he was tired. So very tired. The ship shook slightly as it moved through space. Outside the small window, stars stretched like white lines as they traveled faster than light. In 6 hours, he would reach Helix 7. In 7 hours, if everything went well, he would be on his way home with blood on his hands again. Doyen opened the target file and looked at her picture. Una. The name sounded. But she was not human at all. Her skin was the color of silver mixed with pale blue. Her eyes were large and dark, like deep pools of black water. Her face was beautiful in a strange way, the way a dangerous animal could be beautiful, the Vellani. Humanity's greatest enemy. For 12 years, the two species had been at war. Millions had died on both sides. Planets had burned. Families had been torn apart. And still, the war continued. Duhain remembered the day it all started for him. He was 20 years old, fresh out of military training when the Vellani attacked his homeworld. He watched from a rescue ship as orange fire rained down from the sky. His parents were down there in the city. They never made it out. But that was not the worst day. The worst day came 4 years later at Andromeda Station. His younger brother Ji-hoon had been stationed there. Ji-hoon was only 23, a communications officer with a bright smile and dreams of peace. He used to say that someday the war would end and he would travel the galaxy as a trader. He used to say that not all Vellani could be evil, but there had to be good ones too. The Vellani destroyed Andromeda Station in less than an hour. 3,000 humans died, including Ji-hoon. Doyen received the news while he was on a mission behind enemy lines. He could not even attend the memorial service. That was when the anger became his everything. That was when he stopped being a soldier and became a ghost. The ship's computer made a soft sound. Arrival at Helix 7 Station in 5 hours and 42 minutes. Dojan stood up and walked to the small bathroom. He looked at himself in the mirror. His face was hard, with sharp lines and cold eyes. A thin scar ran from his left eyebrow to his cheek, a gift from a Vellani soldier who almost killed him. 3 years ago, almost, he splashed water on his face and thought about the mission. Helix 7 was a neutral station, a place where humans and Vellani pretended to be civilized. It floated in the empty space between their territories, a small island of false peace in an ocean of war. Traders, diplomats, and spies from both sides walked its corridors. Weapons were forbidden, but everyone carried them anyway. His target would be there for diplomatic training. The Vellani were preparing her to become a voice for their expansion. If she completed her training, she would speak for her people at galactic councils. She would argue for more Vellani territory. More human planets would fall. That was what his commanders told him. That was why she had to die. Doyan returned to his seat and began to prepare. He checked his weapon, a small pistol that could be hidden under a coat. The silencer would make it quiet. One shot to the head, and she would be gone. He had done it many times before, but as he held the weapon, his hands shook slightly. This was new. His hands never shook. He thought about what Ji-hoon used to say. Not all Vellani can be evil. It was a foolish thing to believe. The Vellani had started this war. The Vellani had killed millions of humans. The Vellani had taken everything from him. And yet, as he looked at the picture of Una again, he could not help but wonder. What did she think about the war? Did she celebrate when human ships burned? Did she laugh when human children cried for their dead parents? Or was she like Jehun had been, young and hopeful and dreaming of peace? It did not matter. She was the enemy. Her father had ordered the attack that killed 40,000 humans on New Busan. Her people had destroyed Andromeda Station. Her species wanted humanity dead. He would do his duty. He would complete the mission. He would add another name to the list of the dead. The ship flew on through the darkness of space. The stars continued to stretch and blur, and Park Do-yeon sat alone with his thoughts, preparing to kill a girl he had never met. 3 hours passed. Then Do-yeon tried to sleep, but sleep would not come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Ji-hoon's face. He saw the fire falling from the sky. He saw the names of all the people he had killed, floating in the darkness like ghosts. Finally, the ship's computer spoke again. Approaching Helix 7 station, prepare for docking. Do-yeon stood and looked out the window. The station appeared slowly, a massive structure of metal and light hanging in the void. It looked like a flower made of steel, with long arms reaching out in all directions. Ships of all sizes floated around it, some human, some Villani, some from species he did not recognize. He put on his civilian clothes, a simple trader's outfit that would help him blend in. He hid the pistol under his coat, close to his heart. He checked his false identification and his cover story. He was now a merchant from the outer colonies, looking to buy rare metals. The ship docked with a soft sound. The door opened, and the air of Helix 7 flowed in. It smelled like metal and recycled oxygen, the hint of something sweet that he could not identify. Do-yeon stepped out of the ship and into the station. Around him, hundreds of people walked in all directions. Humans in colorful clothes. Villani with their silver skin and graceful movements. Other aliens with shapes and colors he had never seen before. He was here. The mission had begun. Somewhere on this station, a girl named Yuna was living her life, not knowing that death had just arrived, not knowing that a human soldier was walking through the crowds looking for her face, waiting for the right moment to end everything. Park Do-yeon moved forward, his hand touching the hidden weapon under his coat. His heart was beating fast, but his face showed nothing. He was a ghost, and ghosts did not feel, at least. That was what he told himself. Do-yeon spent 3 days watching her. He learned her schedule. She woke up early, before most of the station came alive. She ate breakfast alone, in a small cafe near the diplomatic quarters. She attended classes in a building on the upper level, where young diplomats from many species learned to speak and negotiate. She walked slowly through the corridors, looking at everything with curious eyes. And every evening, she went to the botanical garden. The garden was a large dome at the top of the station. Inside, plants from many different worlds grew under artificial sunlight. Trees with purple leaves stood next to flowers that glowed in the dark. Vines climbed up the walls. Small streams of water ran through paths made of stone. Yuna always sat on the same bench, near a section where earth plants grew. She seemed to love them. Her silver fingers would reach out and touch the petals of roses and lilies, gentle as if she was afraid to hurt them. Do-yeon watched her from behind a tall tree with blue leaves. He could kill her now. It would be easy. The garden was quiet in the evening, with few visitors. One shot, and it would be over. But he did not shoot. Not on the first night. Not on the second. Not on the third. He told himself he was being careful. A good ghost did not rush. A good ghost waited for the perfect moment. But deep inside, he knew that was not the real reason. On the fourth night, she spoke. "You have been following me for 3 days," Yuna said. She did not turn around. Her hand was touching a red rose, the petals soft against her silver skin. "If you are going to kill me, please do it quickly." Do-yeon's hand moved to his pistol under his coat. His heart beat faster. She knew. How did she know? "How did you find out?" he asked. His voice was calm, the voice of a professional. But inside he was surprised. Yuna finally turned to look at him. Her dark eyes met his, and he felt something strange. She did not look afraid. She looked sad, maybe, or tired. Just as tired as he was. "Villani hearing is better than human hearing," she said. I can hear your heart beating from across the room. Every time you get close to me, it beats faster. It sounds like fear, but also like something else. Something heavy." She paused. "It sounds like grief." Do-Yan said nothing. His hand was still on his weapon, but he did not pull it out. "I know why you are here," Yuna continued. "Your people want me dead. They think that if they kill me, they can hurt my father. They think my death will help them win the war." She looked back at the rose. "Maybe they are right. You are not afraid," Do-Yan said. It was not a question. "I am very afraid," she replied, "but I have been afraid for a long time. Fear becomes normal after a while." She sat down on the bench and looked up at the artificial sky. "Sit with me. If you are going to kill me, you can do it after we talk." It was a strange request. No target had ever asked him to sit with them. No target had ever spoken to him at all. Usually, they did not see him coming. Usually, it was over before they knew what happened, but Yuna was different. She knew death was close, and she was not running. She was inviting it to sit beside her, against every rule he had ever learned. Do-Yan walked over and sat on the other end of the bench. He kept some distance between them. His hand stayed close to his weapon. "What do you want to talk about?" he asked. Yuna was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "What was his name? The one you lost?" Do-Yan felt like she had hit him. "What?" "I can hear it in your heart," she said. "That heavy sound, I know it well. You lost someone in this war. Someone important." She looked at him with those dark, endless eyes. "What was his name?" He should not answer. He should complete the mission and leave. He should not share anything with the enemy, but the words came out anyway. Pulled from some deep place he thought he had locked away. "Ji-hoon," he said. "My younger brother. He died at Andromeda Station." Yuna nodded slowly. "I am sorry. Sorry." Anger flashed through him. "Your people killed him? Your people destroyed the station. 3,000 humans died that day, and you say you are sorry?" "Yes," she said simply. "I am sorry. Just as I am sorry for every death in this war, on both sides." She looked down at her hands. "I lost someone too. My brother. His name was..." She made a sound that Do-Yan could not copy, a musical tone that seemed to hold many meanings at once. "In your language, you might call him Tai-Ho. He was a pilot. He died 3 years ago, during an attack on a human world." Do-Yan stared at her. He had never thought about the Villani having families, having brothers, having grief. "He did not want to fight," Yuna continued. "He used to tell me that the war was wrong. He used to say that humans and Villani were not so different, that we could find peace if we tried." Her voice became thick with emotion. "But he was a pilot, and pilots follow orders. He flew his ship into battle because that was his duty. And he never came home." The garden was very quiet. Somewhere, water ran over stones. A fake bird made a soft sound in a fake tree. "Why are you telling me this?" Do-Yan asked. "Because I want you to understand something before you kill me." Yuna turned to face him fully. "I am not your enemy. I never was. We are both just people who lost someone in a war that neither of us started." Do-Yan did not know what to say. For 8 years, he had seen the Villani as monsters, killers, the enemy. It was easier that way. It was easier to hate them when they had no faces, no families, no grief. But Yuna had a face. She had a family. She had grief that sounded just like his. "My father started this war," Yuna said. "I will not pretend otherwise. He believed he was protecting our people. He believed that humans were dangerous, that you would destroy us if we did not strike first. Maybe he was right. Maybe he was wrong. But millions have died, and nothing has been solved. The war continues, and people like you and me keep losing the ones we love." Do-Yan's hand fell away from his weapon. He did not realize he had moved it. "I came to this station to learn diplomacy," Yuna continued. "My father wants me to speak for our people, to push for more territory, more expansion. But I have been thinking. Maybe there is another way to use my voice. Maybe I can speak for peace instead. Your father would never allow that, Doyan said. No, she agreed. He would not, but I am tired of death. I am tired of hearing about battles and casualties and destroyed worlds. I am tired of wondering which friend or cousin I will lose next. She looked at him with something like hope in her eyes. Are you not tired too? Doyan thought about the question. He thought about the 47 lives he had taken. He thought about the nightmares that came every time he closed his eyes. He thought about how empty he felt, how the anger that once burned so hot was now just cold ash in his chest. He admitted, I am tired. They sat in silence for a long time. The artificial sun began to set, painting the dome in colors of orange and pink. The flowers around them closed their petals for the night. Will you come back tomorrow? Yuna asked finally. I would like to talk more. Doyan should have said no. He should have completed his mission right there. But something had changed in that garden. Something he did not understand yet. Yes, he said. I will come back. He stood and walked away, leaving Yuna alone on the bench. His pistol was heavy under his coat, but for the first time in years, he did not want to use it. The mission was not over. But it was no longer simple. They met every night after that. Doyan told himself it was part of the mission. He needed to understand the target better. He needed to find the right moment. But these were lies, and he knew it. The truth was that he wanted to see her. He wanted to talk to her. He wanted to feel something other than anger and emptiness. On the 5th night, Yuna taught him about Villani poetry. We do not use words the way humans do, she explained. They were walking through the garden now, moving slowly between the plants. Our language is made of sounds and tones. One word can have 100 meanings, depending on how you say it. She made a soft, musical sound. It rose and fell like a wave, beautiful and strange. What does that mean? Doyan asked. It is hard to explain in your language. The closest word might be longing. But not just longing for a person or a place, longing for something that never existed, longing for a future that might have been. She smiled sadly. We have many poems about that feeling. It is very common in war. Doyan nodded. He understood that feeling well. He longed for the brother he lost. He longed for the family he never got to have. He longed for a life where he was not a killer. On the 6th night, Doyan taught Yuna to play cards. He had a small deck that he carried everywhere. It was old and worn, the cards soft from years of use. Ji-hoon had given it to him as a gift before the war. This game is called poker, he said, showing her the cards. The goal is to make the best combination and win the chips, Yuna learned quickly. Her large dark eyes studied the cards with intense focus. On her first real game, she lost badly. On the 2nd game, she did better. By the 3rd game, she was winning. I think you are cheating, Doyan said with a small smile. It was the first time he had smiled in months. I am not cheating, Yuna replied. Her skin glowed with a faint golden light. Doyan had learned that this meant happiness. You are just bad at hiding your feelings. When you have good cards, your heart beats faster. Doyan laughed. It was a strange sound coming from his mouth. He had forgotten what laughter felt like. On the 7th night, they talked about the war. My people believe that humans are dangerous, Yuna said. They were sitting on their usual bench, looking up at the fake stars in the dome ceiling. We were told that you spread across the galaxy like a disease, that you take every planet you find, that you will not stop until everything belongs to you. That is not true, Doyan said. I know that now. Yuna turned to look at him. But when I was young, I believed it. Everyone believed it. It is easier to fight when you think your enemy is a monster. Doyan was quiet for a moment. We believe the same about you. We are told that Villani want to destroy humanity, that you see us as insects to be crushed, that you will not rest until every human is dead. And do you still believe that? He looked at her silver face, at her dark eyes, at the soft glow of her skin. She was beautiful and strange and nothing like the monster he had been taught to hate. No, he said. Not anymore. Yuna reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool against his, but the touch was warm in a way he could not explain. She held his hand gently, like he was something precious. I am supposed to hate you, she said quietly. Everything I was taught tells me you are my enemy. I am supposed to kill you, he replied. Everything I was trained to do tells me to complete my mission. They looked at each other in the soft light of the garden. Neither of them moved away. What are we doing? Yuna asked. I do not know, Do-Yoon admitted, but I do not want to stop. The days continued to pass. 1 week became 2. Do-Yoon stopped thinking about the mission. He stopped checking his weapon every morning. He stopped looking at Yuna like a target and started looking at her like a person. She told him about her childhood on the Villani homeworld. She described crystal cities that sang in the wind and oceans that glowed with natural light. She talked about her mother, who had died when she was young, and her father, who had become cold and hard after the loss. He was not always like this, Yuna said. Before my mother died, he used to laugh. He used to play with my brother and me in the gardens. He used to talk about peace with other species. Her voice became sad. But when she died, something broke inside him. He started to see enemies everywhere. He started to believe that the only way to keep us safe was to destroy anyone who might be a threat. That is why he started the war, Do-Yoon asked. Partly. There were other reasons too. Resources, territory, fear of human expansion. But I think deep down, he is just a broken man who is afraid of losing anyone else. She looked at Do-Yoon. Fear makes people do terrible things. Do-Yoon thought about his own fear. His fear of losing. His fear of failing. His fear of being weak. That fear had driven him for 8 years. It had made him a ghost, a killer, a weapon. But now, sitting with Yuna in the garden, he felt something else. Something like hope. What if there was another way? He asked, what if we could end this war? Yuna's skin glowed violet with surprise. How? Our peoples have been killing each other for 12 years. They do not know how to stop. Maybe they need someone to show them. Do-Yoon squeezed her hand. You said you wanted to use your voice for peace. What if I helped you? What if we stood together and showed them that humans and Villani can be more than enemies? They would call us traitors, Yuna said. Your people and mine. They would hunt us. Maybe, but is that not better than continuing this war? Is it not better to try? Yuna was quiet for a long time. The garden hummed with the sound of artificial life, water flowing, wind blowing through fake leaves. You would give up everything, she said finally. Your home. Your people. Your life as you know it. For what? For a Villani girl you met 2 weeks ago? Do-Yoon thought about the question carefully. He thought about the Terran coalition, about the missions he had done, about the blood on his hands. He thought about Ji-Hoon, who had dreamed of peace. He thought about the 47 names that haunted his sleep. I would give it up for the chance that my brother was right, he said. He believed that peace was possible. He believed that not all Villani were evil. Maybe this is my chance to prove him right. A tear rolled down Yuna's silver cheek. It left a glowing trail on her skin. You are a strange human, Park Do-Yoon, she said. And you are a strange Villani, he replied. She laughed softly, and the sound was like music. She leaned her head against his shoulder, and he let her. They sat together in the garden, two enemies who had become something else, something new. The war was still out there, burning across the galaxy. But in that moment, in that small garden on a station between worlds, peace did not seem impossible. It seemed like a beginning. The message arrived on the 15th. Jeon was in his room when his communicator beeped. The sound was sharp and cold, pulling him back to reality. He had been thinking about Yuna, about their conversations, about the way her hand felt in his. But the message reminded him of who he was and why he was here. He opened it with shaking fingers. Target status requested. Confirm elimination timeline. Immediate response required. Colonel Kang Sujin. Colonel Kang was not a patient woman. She was the head of the Ghost program, a hard officer who had sent Do-Yoon on dozens of missions. She did not ask questions. She did not accept excuses. If he did not respond, she would assume the worst. And if she assumed the worst, she would send someone else. Do-yeon sat on his bed and stared at the message for a long time. His pistol was on the table beside him, the same weapon he had carried for 8 years. It had killed 47 people. It was supposed to kill one more. But could he do it? After everything that had happened? He closed his eyes and saw Yuna's face. He heard her voice, soft and musical. He felt her hand in his, cool and gentle. She was not a target anymore. She was a person, a friend. Something more, maybe. How could he kill her? But if he did not, someone else would. Colonel Kang would send another ghost. One who would not hesitate. One who would complete the mission without talking to Yuna, without learning about her grief, without holding her hand in the garden. Do-yeon picked up his pistol and looked at it. The metal was cold against his palm. He had made so many choices with this weapon. Life and death. Kill or be killed. Enemy or friend. Now, he had to make the biggest choice of all. He stood up and walked out of his room. The corridors of Helix 7 were busy with people, but Do-yeon moved through them like a ghost, like he had been trained to do. His feet carried him toward Yuna's quarters without him really thinking about it. When he reached her door, he paused. His hand was on his pistol. His heart was beating fast. The door opened, and Yuna stood there. She looked at him, and her skin flickered with pale blue light. Sadness. "They're asking about me," she said. It was not a question. She already knew. "Yes. What will you tell them?" Do-yeon did not answer right away. He walked into her room and closed the door behind him. The room was small and simple, with a bed and a desk and a window that looked out at the stars. Yuna was packing a bag. Her movements were slow and careful, like she was trying to memorize each action. "Where are you going?" Do-yeon asked. "I do not know," she admitted. "I just know that I cannot stay here. If your people want me dead, they will find a way. Even if you do not kill me, someone else will." Do-yeon crossed the room and stood in front of her. She stopped packing and looked up at him. Her dark eyes were full of fear and hope and something else he could not name. "I should tell them the mission is complete," he said. His voice was rough. "I should put a bullet in you right now and go home. They would call me a hero. They would give me medals and honors. They would say I helped win the war." Yuna's skin glowed violet, surprise. But she did not move away. She stood still, waiting. "But you will not," she said quietly. "No." Do-yeon reached into his coat and pulled out the pistol. He looked at it for a long moment, feeling its weight, remembering all the deaths it had caused. Then he placed it on the table between them. "I cannot do it," he said. "I cannot kill you." Yuna's eyes filled with tears. They ran down her silver cheeks like glowing rivers. "Why?" "Because you are not my enemy." Do-yeon took her hands in his. Her skin was cool, but he could feel her pulse beneath the surface, fast and strong. "You were never my enemy. You are just another person trying to survive a war that neither of us started." "They will come for you," Yuna said. "Your own people will hunt you. They will call you a traitor. I know. You will lose everything. Your home, your rank, your life, I know. Then why? Why would you give up everything for me?" Do-yeon thought about the question. He thought about Ji-hoon, about his brother's dream of peace. He thought about the 47 names that haunted him, the 47 lives that weighed on his soul. He thought about the war that had taken everything from him and given nothing back except anger and pain. "Because someone has to stop," he said. "Someone has to be the first to say that this cannot go on, that there has to be another way." He looked into her eyes. "My brother believed that peace was possible. He died believing it. Maybe I can prove him right. Maybe I can do something with my life that is not killing." Yuna was crying now, tears flowing freely down her face. But she was also smiling, a small, fragile smile that made her look beautiful. "You are a good person, Park Do-yeon," she said. "Even if you do not believe it. I am not a good person. I have done terrible things. Good people can do terrible things in terrible times. It does not mean they cannot change." She squeezed his hands. "You are choosing to change. That is what matters. Doyan felt something break inside him. But it was not a bad breaking. It was like ice melting after a long winter. It was like a door opening to let in light. For the first time in 8 years, he felt something like hope. "We need to leave," he said. "Both of us. If we stay here, they will find us. Where will we go? I do not know yet. But there must be somewhere. Somewhere we can be safe. Somewhere we can plan." Yuna nodded. She picked up her bag and looked around the room one last time. Then she looked at the pistol on the table. "What about that?" she asked. Doyan looked at the weapon. It had been part of him for so long. A tool of death. A symbol of everything he had been. He picked it up and felt its weight one more time. Then he opened the window and threw it out into space. He watched it spin away into the darkness, getting smaller and smaller until it disappeared. "I do not need it anymore," he said. Yuna took his hand again. This time she held it tight like she would never let go. "You ready?" she asked. Doyan admitted. "But I am going to do this anyway." They walked out of the room together, hand in hand. The corridors of Helix 7 were still busy, still full of people going about their lives. No one paid attention to the human man and the Villani woman walking side by side. They made their way to the docking bay, where ships came and went from all over the galaxy. Doyan had a plan forming in his mind. It was not a good plan. It was dangerous and probably foolish. But it was the only plan he had as they walked. Yuna looked up at him. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For choosing me. For choosing peace. For being brave enough to try." Doyan did not know what to say, so he just squeezed her hand and kept walking. Behind them, his communicator beeped again. Another message from Colonel Kang, probably. Demanding answers. Demanding results, he ignored it. The war was still happening. The galaxy was still burning. But for the first time in his life, Park Do-yeon was not part of it anymore. He was something new, something better. And that was a beginning. They stole a ship. It was a small transport vessel, old and worn, but it could fly. Do-yeon had found it in the far corner of the docking bay, forgotten and covered with dust. Its owner was probably dead or gone, another victim of the long war. He started the engines while Yuna sat beside him. The ship shook and groaned, but it came to life. Lights flickered on across the control panel. The hum of the engines filled the small cabin. "Do you know how to fly this?" Yuna asked. "I know how to fly most things," Do-yeon replied. "My brother taught me." He guided the ship out of the docking bay and into open space. Helix 7 grew smaller behind them, its lights fading into the darkness. Around them the stars waited, countless points of light in an endless void. "What now?" Yuna asked. Do-yeon had been thinking about this for hours. They could run. They could hide. They could find some forgotten corner of the galaxy and live quietly, hoping no one would ever find them, but that was not enough. Running and hiding would not stop the war. Running and hiding would not save the millions who would die while they were hiding. Why weren't or why do why? Why I would why I wear? Why I would why I would why were why I would I would why I would I would I would I would I would I why would I would I would I why why sa why What kind of message? A message to everyone. Humans in Villani, the whole galaxy, turned to face her. You said you wanted to use your voice for peace. This is your chance. We stand together and tell them that there is another way. We show them that enemies can become friends. They will think we are crazy, Yuna said. Maybe some of them will listen. Maybe some of them are as tired of this war as we are. Doyon took her hand. We have to try. We owe it to everyone who has died. We owe it to Ji-hoon and Tai-ho and all the others who never got to see peace. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. You are right. We have to try. They recorded the message together, standing side by side in the small cabin of the ship. Doyon wore his old military clothes, uniform of a Terran coalition ghost. Yuna wore her diplomatic robes, the formal dress of a Villani speaker. Doyon spoke first. My name is Park Doyon. I am a soldier of the Terran coalition. I have fought in this war for 8 years. I have killed many Villani. I was sent to Helix 7 to kill the woman standing beside me. He paused and looked at Yuna. She gave him a small nod of encouragement. No, but I could not do it. Because she is not my enemy. She is a person, just like me. She has lost family in this war, just like me. She is tired of death, just like me. Yuna spoke next. Her voice was clear and strong, carrying the musical tones of her language. My name is Yuna, daughter of the High Speaker of the Villani people. I was raised to believe that humans were monsters. I was taught to fear them and hate them. I thought they wanted to destroy us. She looked at Doyon with warm eyes. I was wrong. Humans are not monsters. They are people with families and dreams and grief. They love and lose and hope just like we do. This man was sent to kill me, but instead he chose to save me. He chose peace over war. He chose hope over hate. Doyon spoke again. The war between our species has lasted 12 years. Millions have died. Planets have burned. Children have grown up without parents. Parents have buried their children. And nothing has been solved. The fighting continues, and more people die every day. We are asking you to stop, Yuna said. We are asking both our peoples to put down their weapons and talk. Not because we are weak, but because we are strong enough to try something different. Strong enough to believe that there is a better way. I know this message will make many people angry, Doyon continued. I know I will be called a traitor by my own people. I know Yuna will be called a traitor by hers, but we do not care. We would rather be traitors to war than loyal to death. Yuna finished the message. If you are tired of this war, speak up. If you want peace, demand it. If you believe that humans and Villani can live together without killing each other, join us. We cannot end this war alone, but together, maybe we can. Doyon reached for her hand. Their fingers intertwined, human and Villani, enemy and friend. This is our message to the galaxy. The war does not have to continue. Peace is possible. It starts with one choice. It starts with us. They sent the message on every channel they could find. Human channels, Villani channels, neutral channels. They broadcast it over and over until they ran out of power for the transmitter. Then they flew on, into the darkness between stars, and waited. The response came faster than they expected at first. Both governments tried to stop the message. They called it propaganda. They called it a trick. They ordered their people to ignore it, but the message spread anyway. Soldiers on both sides watched it and remembered their own dead friends and family. Citizens who had lost everything to the war listened and cried. Young people who had never known a time without fighting saw two enemies holding hands and dared to imagine something different. On the Villani homeworld, crowds gathered in the crystal cities. They demanded to hear more from the High Speaker's daughter. They demanded answers about why the war continued when peace was possible. On Earth and its colonies, veterans began speaking out. Soldiers who had fought for years, who had seen too much death, added their voices to the call for peace. They said they were tired. They said they wanted to go home. They said they did not want to kill anymore. Colonel Kong Soo-jin sent teams to hunt. Doyon and Yuna. 3 teams of the best ghost operatives. But all 3 came back empty-handed. 2 of them asked to leave active service after they returned. Something had changed in them. The crack in the wall of war grew wider. Doyon and Yuna kept moving, staying one step ahead of their hunters. They sent more messages when they could. They met with underground groups who wanted peace. They helped create a network of people on both sides who were tired of fighting. It was dangerous work. They almost died many times. There were nights when they had to run, when ships chased them through asteroid fields, when weapons fire lit up the darkness around them, but they survived. Together, one night, as they drifted in deep space waiting for a contact to arrive, Yuna turned to Doyan with a question in her eyes. Do you think it will work? Real peace? Doyan looked out the window at the stars. He thought about everything they had been through, everything they had given up, everything they were still fighting for. I do not know, he admitted. The war has been going on for so long. There is so much hate on both sides. It will take years to heal, maybe longer. Yuna's skin flickered with pale blue light, sadness. But Doyan continued, humans have a saying. Where there is life, there is hope. We are alive. And as long as we are alive, we can keep trying. Yuna smiled, and her skin shifted to warm gold. Joy, I like that saying, she said. Ji-hoon used to say it all the time. Hyun smiled at the memory. He was always the hopeful one. I was the angry one. But I think maybe he was right. Maybe hope is stronger than hate. Yuna leaned her head against his shoulder. He put his arm around her. They sat together in the quiet of space, two people from enemy worlds, building something new. Thank you, she said quietly.
For what?
For saving me. For choosing peace. For not giving up even when it was hard. Doyan thought about her words. He thought about the ghost he used to be, the killer, the weapon. He thought about the 47 names that still haunted him sometimes. It's the blood on his hands that would never wash away. But he also thought about this moment, about Yuna beside him, about the message spreading across the galaxy, about the people who were listening and hoping and believing that things could be different. You saved me too, he said. You showed me that I could be something other than a killer. You gave me a reason to hope again. The stars stretched out before them, infinite and waiting. The war was not over yet. It would take years, maybe decades, to truly end. There would be setbacks and failures and more death before it was done, but change had begun. A human and a Vellani had chosen to stand together. They had showed the galaxy that enemies could become friends, that hate could become love, that war could become peace, and that was something. Doyan looked at Yuna, at her silver face and dark eyes, at the soft glow of her skin. She looked back at him, and something passed between them that did not need words. They were not alone anymore. They had each other, and together they would keep fighting for the peace they believed in, because that is what humans do. They hope, they try. They refuse to give up, even when everything seems impossible. And sometimes, against all odds, they succeed. The ship flew on through the darkness, carrying two people toward an uncertain future. But for the first time in 12 years, that future looked a little brighter. The war was not over, but the beginning of the end had started, and it had started with a choice, the choice to see an enemy as a person, the choice to hope instead of hate, the choice to love. That was humanity's greatest weapon. Not ships or soldiers or technology, just the stubborn, beautiful, possible choice to believe that tomorrow could be better than today, and that choice changed everything.